So over 3 years ago, I made this video called 100 binge-worthy shows you need to watch, and a lot of you guys seem to like it. For the past 3 years, I haven't really been able to finish any new shows since I started college and everything started opening back up from the pandemic. But I did manage to write down 50 new shows that I think are worth a try, so let's get started. Alright, so starting off with my favorite types of shows, the sitcoms. I have quite a bit, starting off with Two Broke Girls. Two Broke Girls is about two women. They live together and they also are waitresses in like a sort of diner, and it just follows their day-to-day life trying to go from broke to, you know, not so broke. Next is Arrested Development. Arrested Development is a family type show. It has the same three family setting as Modern Family, but this one is much more chaotic. It's about a man who now has to handle his family business after his dad got convicted of a white-collar crime. Next is It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Now this one is about a group of friends who run a pub. If I'm being honest, I'm not really aware of their relationships. I know that two of them are siblings and one might be their dad, but the very fact that you could just watch episodes of the show and still find it so funny no matter what you click on is quite a testament to how great this series is. Next is Reno 911. It is such a hidden gem. The humor of it is a little bit more controversial, I would say, compared to other more, I guess, PG shows. But if you're into this type of comedy, then go ahead and give it a try. Next is a show called The Golden Girls. It's about a group of elderly, mature women who live together, and also it's just basically a sitcom, but you don't really find a lot of sitcoms where they star elderly people, so this one is again a gem. Next is Kim's Convenience. This is about the Korean family who moves, I think, either to the US or Canada. It's a nice representation of an Asian family, and it's a really heartwarming and funny series. So we have this thing called Fresh Off the Boat. Fresh Off the Boat is a series that I've actually only just picked up now, but it's about an Asian family, and this time for sure I know that they're in the United States, and I think it's set around the 90s, and it's basically about growing up in an American environment as an Asian person. We also have Community. Community is basically, as the name suggests, a community college type situation where you have a group of eccentric characters and it's just about their life in said community college. Most of sitcoms are quite straight to the point. I'm not even gonna try explaining it much in depth. We have Schitt's Creek. Schitt's Creek is about a wealthy couple who find themselves broke and they move into Schitt's Creek, which is like a place that they own, and they try to make do with the current life that they have right now. You have Seinfeld, which I think is something like Friends, the show, and it's just about a group of friends yet again making their way in New York City, a really fun show. Then you have Superstore, which is about a group of employees in a superstore. I really like settings like this. I love series with settings in stores, restaurants, and all of that. Fun show, and there's also a Filipino character there, so support. Next you have Last Man on Earth. It's about a guy who finds himself alone in the entirety of the earth, realizing that he is the last man on earth, but then he keeps finding more and more people and realizes that no, he ain't alone. And then we have Kitchen Nightmares. You already know what Kitchen Nightmares is. It's about Gordon Ramsay going to different restaurants, and this really isn't a sitcom. I don't know why I put it here, but since I'm talking about it, I love the show. I just love the drama. I love the food. I love turning a really hopeless restaurant into something new. Then you have Monk, which is not a sitcom. It's more of a detective series, but I just love this show growing up. It is on par with my love for Psych. These are the types of shows that filled my OCD tendencies and also taught me about attention to detail. 10 out of 10, great show. You have That 90s Show, a spin-off of That 70s Show. This one is about the kids of the characters from That 70s Show, and they do show up as well. I'm not sure if this one was cancelled, but I was just delighted with their first season, and God, I hope they're not cancelled. Next you have Home Improvement. It's like your typical sitcom, but the punchlines here are just chef's kiss. Although I did watch it during the nighttime, so I'm not sure if it's just because I was loopy or maybe it was really a good show, but I'd say give it a try. Alright, next category, which is also one of my favorites, we have superheroes. Now I'm gonna do a quick rundown for the Marvel ones, which I will also include here. If you don't know, I'm a huge Marvel fan, so I know a lot of people have opinions about the different shows, but I am just a watcher. I intake all of the shit that they put out, so let me run it down for you. We have WandaVision, 10 out of 10. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I'd say around a 9 out of 10. They're really good. You have Loki, 11 out of 10. What If is a really, really, really great series. It is cartoon. It's basically what would happen if some things are tweaked in the Marvel Universe. Really, really, really great show. Really great idea. I Am Groot is also a really cute mini series about our favorite character. Then we have my all-time favorite series out of everything that Marvel's put out lately. This one, I've watched the series 7 times, going on 8, and it's called Moon Knight. So perfect. I've been looking for a Funko Pop on Moon Knight because I have Mr. Knight somewhere here. 10 out of 10, 11 out of 10, 100 out of 10. Such a good show. Such a great show. Anyways, we have Hawkeye as well, which is a pretty decent, quite a good show. You have Miss Marvel, She-Hulk, Secret Invasion, and Echo. Those are the latest release of Marvel. The most recent one is the revival of X-Men 97, which is again a cartoon. It's just such a nice show to watch so far. I think there's only been 3 episodes, but all of them have been really good. If you're not really a fan of Marvel, or maybe even if you are like me, but you want something a little bit more different than the cookie cutter-esque hero wins all the time, not all the time, but most of the time type vibe, then I think you should go for The Boys. The Boys is a more, I'd say, realistic, not really realistic because they have powers, but just a more fresh way of looking into heroes, a more modern twist on what heroes would be if they actually did exist in real life. And I'd say out of all of the superhero series that I recommended, even beating Moon Knight, I'd say that you should watch The Boys. It's quite really good. Next, moving on to cartoons, we have Fish Hooks. Fish Hooks, I don't know why I did not recommend it the last time, but this is something that I grew up with. And I remember this just being really, really good in terms of its writing, comedy, animation, everything, just really good. And we also have Inside Job. Apparently Inside Job has been cancelled. I was not aware of that until recently. Inside Job is such a good show. I don't know why they canceled it. I don't know what is wrong with companies canceling the best shows. I don't know. Next we have The Cuphead Show. The Cuphead Show was actually something I was excited for when I saw the trailers and teasers for it, and it did live up to its expectation. It is a very, again, I would say a nostalgic show in the sense that the animation is just quite old, and it's just really nice in terms of animation and how the story goes. We also have Little Demon. It's about a girl who is the daughter of Satan and a mortal woman, and they're kind of like divorced. Don't really remember the premise, but I just know that this was a fun show to watch. Next we have The Great North. The Great North is a series that's created also with the creators of Bob's Burgers, so it has somewhat the same animation. If I'm being honest, I did not like this as much as I did with Bob's Burgers, but if you want to support that, you know, sort of franchise, then this is a good one. Next we have The Critic, which is a cartoon that I found from watching The Simpsons. The main character of this show was featured in one of the episodes of The Simpsons, and it's about the life of a New York City movie critic. And lastly, we have Fiona and Cake. I admittedly have not watched this yet, but given that it's also created by the same people who created Adventure Time, and that was such an amazing childhood show of mine, I feel like this is something that is also worth the watch, not only for you, but for me. I'm just gonna bank on it and say that it's a good show. Alright, moving on to a new category. I don't really know what to call this, so I just called it Netflix for the sake of putting a title. But the first series that I would recommend under this category is The Twilight Zone. Now, I used to watch The Twilight Zone, the old one, when I was growing up, but I know that they made a new one, which is also quite good. I watched some of the episodes, and it's just about, like, I guess, life in a more twisted way, and I just love series like this that make you question what if. Next we have Monty Pythons. I watched the movies way back, but I did not know that they had a series, and the series is just as equally confusing equally funny. I love British comedy, British humor. So Monty Python is definitely something that you can watch if you want something that makes you go, what the fuck is going on? Then we have Amazing Stories, which is also quite like the Twilight Zone. I would say compared to the two, I would go for the Twilight Zone, but if you're running out of episodes from that, then you can go over to Amazing Stories. And we also have the X-Files, which again is something like that. We have X-Files, Amazing Stories, Twilight Zone. Those are the three things you should watch if you want a little more paranormal shows. Next we have Goosebumps. It's more of like a horror genre. Not really horror in the sense of jump scares and all of that, but it basically revolves around the characters that were written by R.L. Stine, the author of the novels for Goosebumps. We also have Wednesday. Wednesday I did not watch, but I know it's popular in Netflix, and so, you know, if you haven't watched it, I guess give it a shot. I love the movies, so if it's anything like that, then, you know, maybe it's worth giving a try. We also have a series of Unfortunate Events. The movies were also great, and the series was great. Then we have Scenes from a Marriage. Scenes from a Marriage is a drama series about a couple, more of troubles within a marriage. It's a show that you would want to watch if you want something that tugs on your heartstrings. Next we have Afterlife, which is a show that is made by one of my all-time favorite comedians, Ricky Gervais, and it's a bit more of like a cynical type of comedy. Again, different humors, and it also has a mix of drama in there. And the last one on this category that I wrote is Maniac. Now, Maniac is actually not as popular as one might think it would be. It features Emma Stone and Jonah Hill, and it's more of a drama series. Again, it's a little bit more dystopian, so I tagged it under Netflix, but they basically go into this pharmaceutical testing thing, and they take a pill and weird stuff happens. So good show. And moving on to the last four series that I wrote here, I put Disney Plus as the category because these are all shows that you can watch on Disney Plus. So first we have Desperate Housewives. I did not realize how hooked I would be watching this show. It's about four women and their lives after their best friend killed herself. Weird stuff starts happening. They start like uncovering secrets as to why her best friend, who is like the perfect housewife, perfect husband, perfect family, rich and all of that, living in a suburban neighborhood, just decided to up and kill herself. Next we have Percy Jackson. Now Percy Jackson is, I feel like, something that a lot of people already know about, and it's a mythology series, which is one of my favorite topics, and the story just follows the novels of Percy Jackson. Next we have What We Do in the Shadows. Again, one of those things that I did not know had a series, but I watched the movie versions of these ones, and they're so funny, so good. And it is quite similar to how it is in the movies, where it's basically the life of vampires, like a mockumentary about the vampires, and yes, they do eat people, and it is quite fun. And last but not the least, we have Abbott Elementary. Now this show is about teachers in an elementary school. It's just a really great show, and the humor that they have there is more of the Office type. So if you're a fan of that, then you should definitely watch this one as well. Now those are all of the 50 shows that I recommend. I hope you guys find at least one that you could watch and maybe fall in love with. I know the fan favorite from the last video I made was New Girl, and I'm so grateful that you guys were able to find shows that you love and now are part of your lives. And I hope I get to give you guys the same feeling of a comfort show as well. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and good luck on finding your new favorite show. Bye!